Alright guys, what's up man? It's the main man here, double to that H man. It's hot, it's boiling, but I thought that, despite this, we still need to do this double H Q&A. So I've got my fan finding me here, and we're going to go through to see some of your questions. So, this one is from Fonari Alabi. Hi HH, loved your analysis on the World Cup matches. Having said that, I noticed that during your talks on Nigeria, you emphasized on how speed and dribbling are important to the Nigerian game. Do you think with these characteristics, Nigeria should look and focus more on futsal? Again, thank you for your question there. Obviously, my fellow Nigerian there. And I think, the point that I was making was that, Nigerians play a very typical kind of football. Whenever I played with my friends growing up in Nigeria or playing with other Nigerians when I was playing in school, Nigerians use technique, mixed with obviously speed and athleticism, but it is about technique. Like when people in Nigeria call you a great footballer, it's because of the skill that you did, your dribbling, your ability on the ball, your ability to quickly move left, move right, shimmy, feint, dominate. Those are all the hallmarks of playing football. So that's why I say, that crap I saw at Russia was not Nigerian football. It was that complete garbage that was headed off by that Genoro, a guy that they just found from the streets. So I think, but when you look at futsal, I think obviously what you're saying is that I think maybe what would help is that in a lot of these schools, futsal is promoted. So let futsal be promoted a lot more in these schools, younger places, and let these people be able to actually develop their footballing skills a bit more, because once you're able to do that, get kids and enjoying it, improve their technical ability at a very young age, that's on top of the natural ability that Nigerians have of football, I think would definitely improve them. So I think, not really focus solely on futsal, but I think having that as like a little thing in your locket, but it's the right manager, the right technique and so forth. Get a local manager or get a Dutchman. That's what I say. Thanks for that. What are we doing here? Sorry, okay. Alright, so this is from PQ Disney. Hey HH, I don't know how much you are into space and NASA, but what's your thoughts on the idea of generations ship? If you don't know about it, it's an idea proposed to take humans to the nearest habitable planet and sun, and supposedly it would take 19,000 years with the fastest transport we have available, where hundreds of astronauts would begin centuries of generations over that period of time until humanity reached its destination. What are your thoughts about it and its methods, considering how it would be a middle generation during space travel? That's a pretty crazy concept, that's a pretty crazy concept, that we would build this spaceship over generations. And I mean, aim is to reach this destination, because I told you I'm really into this whole space stuff and finding other planets and where we are in the world. But my thing about it is that I think we have to focus on certain things before we get there. I think the first thing we need to do is let's investigate the moon. Let's build a moon base. Let us actually investigate other planets and see whether other planets can actually be habitable. Let's actually try and explore first. I think explore stuff within our solar system that we can easily travel to before we head there. But I think that would actually make it a crazy film. So that as a film, as a concept, where each generation is focused on just pushing this ship forward and forward and forward until 7, 8, 9,000 generations down the line we reach our destination. I just wish I was actually the guy at the very end that actually reached the damn destination, not some dude who will live and just die somewhere near the beginning or the middle, which is unfortunate. But yeah, that's an interesting question. From John. Hey HH, love the vids. Just wanted to know what league era is better, 80s and 90s Syria or 2000s and 2010s La Liga. Let's say they made an all-star teams with the best 11 from the 80s and 90s Syria versus the 2000s and 10s La Liga. Who would win? No injuries or any of the stuff, all players at their peaks. And let's say it's played over 2 legs. One leg is in Italy with an old school ref style. The other is in Spain with new school refs. Kind of crazy thoughts I came up with. Just wanted to see what the king himself thought. Peace. That's an interesting one, and I think with these kinds of things, it's very difficult to know how it would go about, you know, because obviously that's an interesting thing with the two legs, because on one hand, the teams from the 80s and 90s didn't need possession. So even if these teams in the 2000s and 2010s would actually focus on having possession of the ball, those teams don't need possession. They know how to create chances in with very few passes, and also they're very physical, they're very direct. And I think teams back in the 80s and 90s were much stronger, you know. So I think would teams in the 2010s and 2000s would be able to deal with the physicality. But then look at the 2000s and 2010s, better conditioning, better training, advanced tactical awareness, and I think the advanced tactics would be able for them to find out the weaknesses of the teams from the 80s and the 90s. But again, because I'm biased, I would still say 80s and 90s Syria would win out purely by the fact that they would be able to use their physicality to overimpose themselves on the 2000 and 2010s La Liga. Even in the second leg, that's more of the new school ref. And I just think that the strikers, specifically the strikers from the 80s and 90s, I think the 2020s would find it very, very difficult to deal with the strikers. Because remember, 80s and 90s had better defenders and better strikers. 2020s have better midfielders and much more technical, gifted players. But again, 80s and 90s better defense. 2010s probably have one of the worst defenders out there, especially the 2010s, and the best strikers, probably the best strikers of all time, happened all in the 90s. Can I give you Weah? Can I give you Ronaldo? Can I give you Batistuta? Can I give you Kluivert? You know, can I give you Vieira and so forth? So yeah, I'm going to go with 80s, 90s Syria. All right. From Max Okundov, what's up, HH? My question for this week: do you think after the disrespect that both Icardi and Dybala received from Argentina, and since they are both part Italian, do you think they should switch their allegiance to Italy? And how do you think that will go down in Argentina? Thank you for putting all the best football analysis. You're the best, brother. Thank you. My thing is that I don't know how the rulings work, because I was about to say this. Because they've already played a senior game for Argentina, they can't switch allegiance. So because remember, that's how it works. Once you've played a senior game for a country, you can't switch allegiance. But then I read something about Berahino, who has been allowed to switch allegiance to Burundi, and I think he was English and allowed to switch allegiance to Burundi. So I think in that sense, maybe it is possible. Let's just say they were allowed to do so. How would it go down in Argentina? What are you going to say? If you're Argentine, first of all, how are you going to blame Icardi, who was unfairly and unjustly left out of the World Cup squad? How are you going to blame Dybala, who was hardly used at the World Cup and is hardly appreciated and is being told that he can't play in a team because he cannot play with Messi? So if you're Argentina, you should not begrudge either Dybala or Icardi switching allegiances. Simple as that. And I think if Italy were to get Icardi and Dybala, that would be huge. That would be very huge. From Matt, HH, you have often said that you were a Chelsea fan before the Abramovich era. Who were your favorite players? Example, Zola, Gullit, etc. Zola was the first player that I fell in love with in the Premier League. Hence why, you know, Chelsea were my team. Because when I just saw Zola, like, for me, he's one of the... I would say he's top 3 of the best players in the Premier League. For me, it goes Henry, Bergkamp, Zola, as in the 3 best players in the Premier League. Zola was amazing. I think Zola was my guy. So Gullit was amazing. Vieira was amazing. Poyet, Petrescu, Desailly, all those boys, Leboeuf, De Hoy. But Zola, that was my guy. When I saw Zola, I was like, no, this dude, how he played, the magic he did, now that was my dude, man. From Scott, question for the Football Hut. Do you think that Hudson-Odoi looks like one of the best wingers in the Premiership? Will Sarri play him? He said probably not in an interview recently, and I don't understand at all. Unless it's something to do with protecting younger players from injuries, clashing with bigger, heavier players. It would be a great loss not to see this kid tear up defenses. Yeah, for me, I think that I believe if you're good enough, you are old enough, and there is no reason why he can't play, because in the two matches that I've seen him play, he's been the best player. He's been the best player in the Charity Shield, where Chelsea struggled to really get into any kind of flow. He was the best player. So 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, he should be a starter for Chelsea. And yeah, for me, I think that at 17, he looks like if he can take care of himself, he's very confident. He's got amazing ability, and I do think he should start games initially, but I think he should be very carefully introduced. I think bring him on in the 75th minute, bring him on in the 80th minute, bring him on in the 70th minute. So give him 10 minutes, give him 12 minutes, give him 15 minutes, give him 16 minutes, give him 17 minutes, give him 20 minutes, give him 45 minutes. Carling Cup game, give him a full game in the Carling Cup. And so ease him through like that, and then that's how he will then slowly and surely gain up his confidence, really get into gear with how the Premier League works, so until he's then confident enough to really start games once he's 18 or 19. Alright. And alright, so let me just do this. So this is quite a long one. So this is from Jake Lane. HH, first of all, love your work and thank you for the continued amazing content with both club and international football. I wanted to bring up something that has me fairly intrigued recently. I realized that there are no true centre-back horsemen. Well, you can argue Beckenbauer. I know everyone has their different thoughts on him, but I was hoping you could analyze Sergio Ramos in an upcoming video. He has the credentials: World Cup winner, Euro winner, 4 times Champions League winner as captain of Real Madrid. He's had the longevity as well as both the club and international success that is needed to be amongst the legends of the game. And then the way he plays centre-back has revolutionized the game, going back to his prime days with the Spanish national team. Also, he has the extra X factor of doing literally anything it takes to win on the pitch. With his outstanding resume and his true impact on world football over the last 12 plus years, it may be time to look this over and see if a defender can get into the VIP area of the club. Really hope you can see this or respond to this email, and thanks for all your work. Peace, HH Jake. Thank you for that. So maybe you didn't see it recently, but Beckenbauer is the latest guy to be a horseman. So he is the 5th horseman, and Beckenbauer obviously. See, for me, that's what I always say about the horseman. He has the credentials with regards to World Cup winner, Champions League winner, so forth and everything, scoring clutch goals. But my big thing is impact, and how did you revolutionize the game? How did you change the game? How did you really put your imprint upon the game? And also remember, guys, you can only be eligible for the horseman once you retired from the game. You cannot be an active player and be a horseman. So my thing is that Beckenbauer pretty much introduced the ball playing centre back. Before Beckenbauer, there had never been a defender that's adept on the ball and that's confident on the ball like Beckenbauer. So he changed the way that people defend, so people who were good on the ball but no one wants to defend were like, wait a minute. So defenders don't have to hoof the ball. Defenders don't have to look ugly and a bit uneven and uneasy on the ball. They can have an elegance about them and the grace about them that midfielders and attackers have. So the thing with Sergio Ramos is that he's a very good defender, a really good defender. But there are times when he can make a lot of mistakes, and there are times when he can literally just lose his sight of what needs to happen, and he can just lose focus. And when I think of the great defenders of all time, Ramos isn't in the conversation. You think of Beckenbauer, Baresi, you think of Maldini, you think of Cannavaro, you think of Desailly, you think of Thuram, you throw Stamm in there, you think of De Boer. I don't put Ramos in that conversation on those 8 names I just named here. I would not, when Ramos is done, I will not name him as one of the best defenders. So, and when you're a horseman, you've got to at the very least be one of the best players of all time in your position, in your role. And I don't think Sergio Ramos will go down as one of the best defenders of all time. He has done amazing things, and he does amazing things as a defender with regards to his winning ability and the kind of goals that he scored. But as far as a defender and outside defending, the rudimentaries, ABCs, 1, 2, 3s of defending, I really can't really put him on. That's why he has the credentials. He's got the World Cup medal, which is what you need to. But I think once he does retire and he's eligible to be a horseman, he ultimately fails because he does not have the kind of impact that the other 5 guys have. Guys, that's all been for the HH Q&A. Remember to get your question answered. Just log in, head to the website, scroll down, put in your email, and hopefully, if your question is good enough, if it's not good enough, I can't choose it. But if your question is good enough and interesting enough, and is a good thing to debate, I will read it out here and I will answer it on the Q&A. Peace out, stay true. See you next week.